In Lakesh and Veritas, everyone, sending you the frequencies of oneness and truth. You are now tuning to Of the Sun's weekly Suncast podcast. We are bringing you elevated topics that are focused on expanding ourselves as well as humanity into becoming the truth and moving into oneness. And we are coming live from the frequency of one mind, highest elevation. We have Lao Tzu of the Sun, the guiding force and architect of the vibrant organism, who provides of the Sunners with wisdom and guidance so that they can find the truth to be free. And I am Tavares of the Sun, certified instructor and practitioner of the Sun modalities and creative director behind Of the Sun's artwork, programs, and sessions. So with honor and respect, and Lakesh and Veritas, Lao
In
Tzu.
Lakesh and Veritas. I'm so happy to be here. This is a wonderful moment. We have released Call for Truth, and we're so pleased to share this with all of you in the greater experience and all of those who are on the line. So thank you all for being here, whether you're here at this moment or you're here at another moment.
Yes. All
with
right.
unwavering honor and respect.
Oh, and may we call for the frequency of truth before we begin?
Yes, absolutely.
Live and in full effect.
Shall we call forward the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in our experience, in each other, in all things that our eyes see? Shall we call to hear the truth? Shall we listen for the truth in what is said to us? Shall we call to have the courage to speak the truth and be that truth? Call the frequency of truth forward in our experiences, in our lives, so that the truth will be the resounding force that moves us forward in our life.
Thank you so much for ushering us into the frequency of truth. If you haven't noticed by now, I continue to insinuate this idea of truth. Again, we are so excited here at Of the Sun because we have been given a gift. Humanity has been given a gift. Lao Tzu of the Sun has recently released a new book titled Call for the Truth. And again, this is so exciting. We have a number of individuals on the line with us today. And in honor of this newly released book, the guests that are on the line are participants of the Sun who have not only read the book, but they have also expressed how profoundly impactful and conscious, stimulating, and shifting this material has been in their lives, as well as the effects that have rippled into their personal experiences as a byproduct of engaging with this elevated material. So I'm going to give a brief introduction to a number of the individuals on the line with respect. Honor and respect, we have on the line with us a writer, also retired attorney, who is the author behind some of the Sun's most foundational books. He has authored In Lakesh, The Correction, bringing forth foundational understandings of what it truly means to be in Lakesh or oneness. He has also authored Of the Sun's Ho'oponopono, Responsibility, helping newcomers to Of the Sun step into their power through becoming the responsible party in their experience. So this is Wayman Favors, everyone. We also have on the line, returning back to us for the second time, our favorite beekeeper, master degree in English education, taught English for about 10 years, currently a quantum light property clearer and teacher, trained with Of the Sun, an herbalist, a beekeeper, an Akashic record reader, a graduate of Soul Translation Level 1 and 2, also founder of Be Inspired and High Vibin' and Drivin', Tiffany Gorski. Also, we have someone with building up the alphabet behind their name, doctor and PhD, who's a practitioner and teacher of bioenergetics, the Nest Health Scan, also quantum light property clearer, practitioner of many levels of this practice, and also graduate and practitioner of Soul Translation Level 1 and 2, Delilah Boros. And lastly, we have principal and school teacher for over 20 years in the public school system, and also a client and advocate for Of the Sun, Mr. John Reed. So I greet you all with honor and respect in Lakesh in Veritas.
In location
Location
veritas,
veritas.
And
everyone.
location
Honor.
veritas, honor and
Honor
respect.
and respect.
That's a long list of
Honor and
accolades. Oh my. So it's so good to have you on. And I spoke to some of you briefly regarding what you have shared, but we'd just like to kick things off. Just bringing Wayman Favors on board. Again, he has already assisted with releasing 2 books with Of the Sun, again, in Lakesh and Responsibility. And he has provided the forward for this content. And, word through the grapevine is that the shift is real in your life. But I just like to hear from your experience, what did this material do for you? Or and even more so, like, what do you see in terms of the impact or the necessity of humanity reading or engaging with this content?
Invocation veritas with honor and respect. In order for myself to put in the proper frame the value and importance and purity of this particular book, Call for the Truth, I want to go back for just a moment to a previous class that Laota taught, a monthly self-healing class. And in that class, she made a call and provided a reminder and really a clarion call for everyone to be mindful that we are in a reset on this planet. And in explaining the critical need for the reset, Laota identified the fact that what needs to be reset is what's taking place on the planet. It needs to be set correctly or reset. And what needs to be reset is the fact that we as a people on the planet are doing everything backwards. And the planet itself is calling for relief from all the things that we are doing that harm the planet, and all the things that we are doing that push us further away from the reality of who we are and what we are and how we were created. We were created, as Laota shares in Call for the Truth, as one. And for far too long, we have been doing everything but being as one. And the planet has made it clear that time is up for that. And thus Laota's call for the reset. And what needs to be reset is all of these backward things we're doing, like designer drugs, designer babies, designer turkeys, the planet littered in our atmosphere with satellites darkening the sky and clouding out the sun. Just by way of tiny example, there are over 23,000 pieces of junk orbiting our planet right now. Mm. And to make matters worse, now we've exported that insanity to Mars. We've got 20 satellites from this planet orbiting Mars. So we're not content with ruining where we are. We want to go and do it somewhere else. I could go on with all of those kinds of things. Everyone sees the social unrest. The economy is in upheaval. We're disrespecting women all over the planet. We're harming people who don't look like us. The violence, the drug addiction, the food insecurity. We're causing the extinction of animals. We're disrespecting nature at every turn. And the planet is reacting with wildfires and hurricanes and tornadoes and flus and viruses. It's time for a reset. And this book, Call for the Truth, is the clarion call for the reset. And the only way we're going to get to a real reset, to a redo, and a redo correctly, is to move into the vibration, into the reality, into the need for truth. And as Lao Tzu very carefully and correctly identifies in the book, just the title itself, Call for the Truth. You don't luck upon truth. You don't stumble on it. You have to go after it. You have to actively, intentionally, purposefully invite truth into your life. You have to live it. You have to embrace it. And everything starts to change immediately that we accept truth. And fundamental truths like we are one. The minute we start treating each other like we love each other, like we understand each other, like we want to help and embrace and correct and push each other toward ultimate creativity, the minute we start to embrace those truths, we can stop this skid into oblivion that we're on with all the things that we're doing. I'm going to stop there. I could go on. If you can't tell how excited I am and enthusiastic I am by that, give me another 3 days and I'll give you more.
Oh, my women, thank you so much. Oh, it was quite the ride there. Yeah. So there, you first off, you sound activated, most definitely. And what I've been sharing with many people is that that's what this book does. It activates us, because many of the things that you shared, and you actually did state this within your comments, that you can go on and on about what is taking place on our planet, which many people are aware of, yet are doing nothing about. However, again, this action, the real action of moving into the truth, actually doing the thing that's necessary to correct the behavior that has gotten us so far from our original blueprint or design, the template. And again, moving into this idea of oneness, there's just so many different ideas, even the idea of the divine feminine, which I know you softly touched upon, how that's covered, and how we can see the subjugation, we can see the enslavement. I don't have to go into all the things. We know what's up, but the reality is male and female are one. We are two sides of the same coin, so to say. We are, as Lao Tzu put it in the book, man and woman together makes what we refer to as God, the divine, because it contains both polarities, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. But what we can see, because we've deviated so far from the original blueprint, as you mentioned, the idea of oneness, what we have here is this imbalance, and it's so evident in all areas of our experience. So again, thank you so much, Wayman. I want to hear you go on, but I know we have more people on the line here. Thank you so much. How about Tiffany? Tiffany, you there? Are you able to speak with us?
Yes, I am. In Lakeshan Veritas, with honor and respect. I always want to hear Wayman go on. I mean, come on. It's like you get a clearing listening to him talking about a book that gives a clearing. Like, come on. This is incredible. This book is the truest truth I've ever read. And, Lota throughout the book says, call for the truth, call for the truth. And like Wayman was just saying, it's an action. You have to call for the truth. As I was reading it, I literally had to stop to bring truth forward. That of details that had been laying dormant in my life that I kept wanting to take action on, but had all these reasons to not, and procrastination would seep in, or something would be stuck and I wouldn't. And I literally halfway through the book had to put it down and go take action. I mean, things are flowing through me that I guess we're asleep and have been activated from reading this. I truly have been transcended and transformed by this book, and it has propelled me into action. And I feel like, honestly, this is the answer to the call for the reset. Like, this is the book that could clear and heal the world. And as I'm saying this right now, I feel like I'm getting a clearing, like I'm getting tingling all over my body, and I feel like I'm stepping into truth even more. And when I finished it the first time, I've read it more than once, because it's not a book you can only read once. It's a book that, you kind of keep as your manifesto always with you, and you hold it, you touch it, you feel the vibration of it, you become the vibration of it, you read the precision of every single word over and over and over again. And after I read it the first time, I felt like I could see this book being read in front of millions and millions of people, and everyone being cleared all at once. And I mean, I don't know if that's in the works or not, but I'm just saying, I feel like the essence of that is true. And whether it's in the true reality of it or the metaphor of it, I feel like it's going to happen. And I'm in such deep gratitude to the truth, and to Loto for bringing it forward, and for Wayman's contributions, and Tavares, your contributions. The cover art, let's just be real, is this beautiful, transcendent experience within itself just by looking at it. Like I was telling Loto earlier, I was like, I want to make sure I have enough ink in my printer so I can print it and laminate it and hang it on my wall. And one part that I wanted to just bring forward, which also touched on what Wayman and Tavares were speaking about in terms of oneness, is at the very beginning of the book, Loto talks about how all things in nature have been considered, and that the universe is a verse that we can all sing. And I mean, it almost brings me to tears just even saying that word, because can you imagine if we were all truly singing this verse of unity, of oneness, of the truth of what we all are in our essence? And it's just that the book so eloquently brings forward, the details of what's been taken into consideration for our connectedness, the algorithm and the spiral of the flowers and the snail shell to the spiral on our heads. And it's just, it's magic, right? And it's how we are all connected in this essence and in this truth. And it is a verse that I will continue to sing, and I will teach my daughter to sing and share with others constantly. I went on a walk with my dog this morning, and I was smiling from ear to ear to ear to ear. And this woman walked by and she said, "Wow, you're happy." And I'm like, yeah, so you have to do everything, right?
Okay, so not only am I laughing. Oh, you still have more, Tiffany?
No, that was it. Thank you.
All right, so not only am I laughing, but I'm also in tears. It's the tears of that are coming out from the truth of what you were saying. Again, it was so simple. The universe, everyone can sing. Everyone has their own verse that we can sing together. And
Right.
I mean, when you really fathom what that means in the world where everyone's so busy trying to be an individual, trying to be something that clearly you already are, but you're ignoring the truth of the larger picture that, hey, we're all an orchestra. You get on your flute and you hop on your clarinet. Let's all make music together. Let's sing. And
Right. Yes.
it removes competition. It removes 6 C's there. No competition, condemning all of that, because everyone is operating according to the design as it has been established by the universe. So it's, again, I'm reliving the experience that I had through the book just from hearing your experience. Thank you. So
Thank you.
Yes. So we're gonna keep it moving, because we have so many wonderful things that require being expressed at this time. So let's bring forth Delilah Boros, PhD, bioenergetics, quantum property clearing.
Yes, and Lakesh and Veritas, with honor and respect. I'm so thrilled to be here to talk about this wonderful writing. It's something that when I read it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is something that was due. It's now time. I think that the society as a whole, globally, is ready for something like this to be able to stand up and see what's going on with our world, because there's so much chaos that's going on, and not and looking at from the standpoint, bringing forward the separatist feminine male masculine feminine differentiation, when in actuality we should be thinking as one, and the imbalance of that's causing so much suffering that's in our society today. I when I read this book, it as Tiffany was alluding to, it wasn't like a quick read. Each like paragraph or section was like a chapter, so I would sit there and then I would meditate one paragraph, and sit there and then meditate the next one. But it's in order to get the full understanding. And I think that the world, because of all the issues and chaos that's occurring now, people are ready to hear, what is it that we can do in order to save our planet, our world that has been disrespected, individuals, the female, and the male, and the imbalance that exists, as far as why we're having so much suffering that is occurring right now. And, what I loved about it is the stand up, as she describes standing up. We can do something about it. We're just so used to being told what to do and how to do it, throughout, our lifetimes, and we don't have to be that way. We can think for ourselves and realize, okay, what we're doing, is this the correct way of doing it? It's not working. Why isn't it? To get us to think and to move forward and move out of it. And the only way that we can move out of it is if that we take charge, we do something about it. I love how what was brought about with the duality of female and male, and not from the standpoint that it's separate, but they work collectively, as you stated, Tavares, two sides of a coin. We need all for that oneness, for that unison, the way the universe, basically wants us to behave in order for things to flow. It's just the law.
Yes, last time I checked, we don't use one side of our brain.
Exactly.
And again, the principles are ever pervading within our experience. I just briefly, first off, Delilah, thank you so much. I just like to briefly speak to something that you said, the idea of standing up. And this is a brief excerpt from the book, because I'm sure the listeners, if you haven't already clicked on the on the link to purchase this, you're wondering what's in this book. And this speaks to the idea of standing up. We must fight for our own existence, as all beings must fight their way into life down the birth canal. Perseverance in pursuing our own self-preservation is what keeps us up and moving towards life, success in this and the next. It is us, our own negative force, that has called forth our magnified darkness that answers our call with an extinction event. And then lastly, this is another excerpt. We must find the courage to live together as one, or suffer the pain and subjugation with each breath in a collective yet separate planetary suffering. Stand up as one. Death comes to brave man only once. A coward dies 1,000 times with each indignity. So hearing you share that, it brought me back to that excerpt. So again, Delilah, thank you so much for your contribution and sharing this with us this evening.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. I mean, the contribution from the book itself, it's just like, it's overwhelming, and overwhelming with joy, because it's like, okay, somebody's now bringing this to the forefront so that all can hear and see and give, provide answers to what we can do. You know, to think, okay, we got to think differently. We got to work differently. If we want change, we've got to make those changes. We got to think differently and behave differently. Take action.
Mm-hmm. And we can start with what's in front of us. Where are the areas of our life where we have been lying to ourselves, where we have been operating in separation? And fix that. And let's build that critical mass, that morphogenetic field to where we influence in everyone, and the collective consciousness can begin pulling from that instead of pulling from this dark toxicity that has gotten us into the position we find ourselves in. So again, Delilah, thank you so much for sharing, and we're gonna move on. Do we have John Reed on the line with us? Are you still there?
I certainly am.
John, you've been quietly tuning in. What do you have for us? I know you have something.
You know, let me say something about what I read. Now, one thing I know for sure, for certain, is that I'm gonna have to read it over and over and over and over and over again. I will say this: I've read several writings, let me put it like that. None that I've read to this point have been as succinct and on point as this one here. Now, I've read many writings, quite frankly, okay, in my lifetime. And what I got out of this, if I can sum it up, is different. She summed it up. That's what she did. I think, as one of the listener speakers said, I think that each paragraph eventually will evolve into a book of sorts itself. Okay, because the truth that I heard out of this particular writing was something that I rarely experience. I have several books that I read that I put on the top shelf. Okay, and this one, when I read it, it jumped right on up to the top in reference to the truth. There's so many things in it. I have a problem picking one out. Okay, the truth that came out of this has caused me to be able to evolve even myself into some areas of truth that I was sort of investigating, if you please. But this feminine principle has been on me for a while. And when I was sharing with Leota earlier, when we had to talk, I have the distinction of probably being a male that has more feminine energy than I do male energy. So I sort of tuned right in to this, right? And it was literally, it just had an impact on me. Now, I do some, what you call, I lift for a while here. I've been lifting, and I pick up clients, and and the energy that is emitted, so to speak, from this particular writing, I've been able to. I've had several female ladies get in my car, and it's something to behold as they begin to expound upon what is happening in the universe. And I just, I have the privilege, I should say, of being able to hear, and because I call for the truth, and because when you call for it, it comes. I know that to be a fact. They'll get in my car and they'll start expounding, if you please, on some of the principles. And I'm like,
wow. I'm like, really? And I'll think a thought of truth, and they will bring the thought out that I'm thinking in almost the identical words that I'm thinking in terms of the truth. And so the feminine energy has, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the book, so I think it's all of our opinion, it has to.
Agreed.
I don't have to say that to this group. Others I might have to say, in my opinion. But to this group, that experience, to hear the truth, and I'm into to speak the truth, hear the truth. I remember there was a saying when I was coming up, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Okay? And now the no is out of there. So it's hear the truth, speak the truth, and see the truth, so you will become the truth. Now, it was so much. Again, I'm picking out a few things, but I'm not capable of saying everything that I got out of that. It was. I don't know how she did it in 25 pages. Honest to goodness. I don't mean to, if I do mean to emote, because I got that feminine going here. But that book, I was like, wow, okay, book. We're gonna have a real book, because I think there's going to be more books to that book. Okay, so I could go on and on and on and on and on.
John, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Again, welcome. No, you can't quite contain it. It's like, what do I even speak about? The mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical impact. Again, this is an activator, and the activating in you, those women in your vehicle, they are being entrained by the truth. So it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for such lovely comments, and I want to bring just a thought to your mind. This, let us say that the design of creation, if you look at yourself as the favorite design in the universe, there's a head and 2 arms and 2 legs, 2 eyes, there's 2 ears. If you could imagine half of that, like you manage with half of that, even though creation said you need all of it. But you walking around 1 eye, 1 nostril, 1 ear, 1 arm, 1 leg, and calling yourself, hey, I made the iPhone. Yeah, I can see that. That's the result of what you made. We can see you made it with half of what was needed. And everything else you made that gives us radiation or kills our brain, or houses that kill us, or we can see that you made it with half of what you should have. How unfortunate for us. But just so happens we have the other half. Yeah. We got the solution.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So this is how I'd like for you, in the simplest of forms, just doesn't that give you the clarity of what is really going on with us?
Yes.
Absolutely.
If I may, with honor and respect, I'd like to share how I was impacted by this novel. So, as mentioned earlier, I think by Tiffany, yes, I had the honor of designing the cover. But to speak to this idea, I will be echoing some of the things that were mentioned by everyone, because, again, the impact is one of, it can bring the individual to emotion, or it brought me to emotions where the truth was just so real and so raw. I wrote a review and said something along the extent or the lines of, she provided us a snapshot within, again, 23, 25 pages, a snapshot of the human condition, along with solutions to begin to move us in the right direction. And it is just so clear. It is just so evident that we must do something now. And, seeing these words, it began to spur this, okay, let's correct myself. And as I say this, my heart is expanding because I'm just like, this is life. This is the modus operandi. Be the truth in every way. Seek out the lies that I've been telling myself. How have I not been operating in a holistic manner? How have I been operating separate or just in half of myself? How have I potentially subjugated women in my past or done anything to nature, these other aspects of myself? Again, the book, after reading the book, I designed the cover in, I think it was 20 minutes. And usually it takes me a little longer than that. Well, a lot longer. I have to sit there, marinate in it, wait for the inspiration or something. And no, it inspired me. Oh no, the world needs to see this. And I believe someone mentioned that, maybe Tiffany earlier. I think everyone said that. The world needs to see this. So that activation in my DNA to get up, to take action, to call for the truth, bring forth the truth in the design. And then also I'm seeing how it has been rippling throughout my personal experiences and just shifting everything for the better, just bringing forth this balance. I mean, there's so much more I want to say. However, in lieu of time and honor and respect to everyone's time, I'll leave it at that.
We hope that those of you who've had something to say may have thought of something else and would like to share it before we end our show. We have a little bit more time. Does anyone have anything that you'd like to add in addition to your previous comments?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll keep it brief. I'll keep it very, very brief. I'll keep it very brief.
Well, by all means.
I felt like if my hand was on the buzzer.
I know.
Waiting.
I want to add that I felt also the book was a compilation of life and existence, starting from the very beginning and how it has evolved to this point in time. I mean, and I'm talking about the creation of man, the earth, and then up until this point of time, and how things have evolved. And that's what I liked about this book, is that it was all encompassing, bringing forward, well, how did this start? It started from this event where, with Adam and Eve and how the earth was created and so forth. But then there was a deviation and a shift. Like, what happened? And it explained that, where that shift is. And it's now, okay, so we're aware of that shift. So now what is it that we can do to bring that shift back into balance so that we can then resolve the issues that we are having today? I mean, that's what it's just a wonderful piece of writing to help bring thought to people's minds, bring it to the forefront to say, this is what's been happening, wake up, and then, what are we going to do about it? There is something we can do about it.
Thank you, Dr. Delilah. This is such an interesting thing that you say this, because it is imperative that we know the beginning. If you only know what's happening, if you're counting numbers and you count from 3 to 10, you've missed something. We needed to start at 1 and give the real story, the real truth, and then the truth becomes evident. Then you can see when you get from 1 to 3 that 3 makes sense, and then that 6 makes sense, and then 7 and 8 and 9. But if you start at the wrong point on the scale, which all of us have, then you can never really get fully engaged and become soul certain in the truth. You become nose blind to whatever theory or random thought or erroneous construct that is thrown into the mix of our brain, which is a receiver. And you're receiving all these thoughts and you grab hold to one and it doesn't take you anywhere. And the evidence is all around us that whatever you think don't work, nothing's working. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
May I interject, Leota?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I'm looking for the book, or whatever you want to call it, Back to Oneness.
Oh, that's my next book, John.
I got tingles when I said it. Back to oneness, okay? Because that's where we're going. That's what I took out of what you were, part of what you were saying. We're going back to oneness, not just back to one, but to oneness, how it was from, not even from the beginning of Adam and Eve. I'm talking about I know. I'm talking about the beginning of everything. Let me shut up. First cause. First cause.
Oh, John's about to teach. He's trying to hold back.
Hold on, John.
I had me on mute. I had me on mute so you wouldn't be hearing me like I was in church. Okay, so I'm putting myself back on mute.
You should pass the collection plate around if necessary. Thank you, John. Briefly, I'd like to speak. Delilah actually touched on the idea I wanted to share. Speaking to the divine feminine, for those who may not be aware, I am a strong advocate of the divine feminine. It is honor to be able to experience what union, masculine and feminine union looks like, working with Lauta, within the company of a son. It is such a rich experience to have that, and seeing the necessity on every level of our experience, and the level of respect and honor that we have for each other, and there is no forcing or no control or no subjugation, and understanding that we actually require women to return back into balance. Last time I checked, everyone comes out the womb, point blank period, and this idea of the if you read the book, you'll get more insight on what has taken place between masculine and feminine energies and the polarities as they're manifested as humans, and how we cannot go on as humanity in this same state of suppression of the women, and also bringing it back to the divine design, everything sacred geometry, the balance. You have the linear, you have the curvature, the spirals, all of that it's all one and the same, and how can we be that within our experience, starting with ourselves and with those around us, so again, I want to go more, but I know we got other people who want to chime in.
Anyone else have a comment?
In Location Veritas, with honor and respect, this is Tiffany. I just when you were saying, Lota, about us operating with half, literally half, and even less than half, like, let's be real, many of us sometimes operate with a quarter of one eye. It brought forward how I felt after DNA activation, and how all of a sudden my DNA and everything within me, I felt like I could see and feel and hear at a higher level because I was utilizing more. And reading this book not only does that, but the simplicity of calling for the truth and calling for correction also helps to activate those cells within us and activate our DNA and change the frequency of the collective conscious. And it's so easy. I mean, you literally say the words, right? Like, it's free, it's easy, people can say it, people can do it. And if someone takes nothing away from the book other than learning how to call for the truth and call for correction, that in and of itself can change everything in them and outside of them.
Absolutely. This is such a truth, what you've spoken. And it's, when we think about it, that the brain is a receiver, the brain believes everything it hears, including what you say to it. If all you ever say to it is Facebook and pizza, then this is what that looks like. If you would say to it that you want to be part of what is real, what is right, what is creation, what is law, my advice to everyone is be in with the law of this universe. This moment on the third dimension is finite. We are greater than this. And, even though you have time for remedial classes, you may not want to take them. So this idea that everything that's of the sun is doable. Every advantage, every opportunity, everything that we teach is easily doable if you will just do it. Anyone else have any final comments?
I got another chapter out of the last comment. Okay, here's the chapter. One quarter Cyclops. That's the name of the chapter.
Invocation Veritas.
Was that Wayman? You had something to share?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to go back to the title of the book, actually to the very last portion of the book that asked the question, will you call for the truth? Will you join the fight to reclaim our birthright, to stand up for the weak and the powerless, to join hands with the women of the world, to be a part of the war for the souls of the children of divine? But that's the question at the end. But the title to the book that Lotta chose is not a question. It is a statement. It is a demand. It is a requirement. This is the time to call for the truth. And nobody's asking. It has to be done. This is life and death. It has to be done. The truth has to be called for. And it has to be called for now, not tomorrow, not the day after. That's it.
Mic drop.
That's a mic drop.
Thank you, Brother Wayman.
Thank you all for this celebration. I consider this a raise to our glass, to toast, or with our kombucha, to the celebration of this birthing of this this idea forward into our world. And I agree with all of you. There will be more to come. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We are in harmony with unwavering honor and respect for all. In Lakesh and Veritas, everyone.
In Lakesh and Veritas.
Invocation Veritas with honor and respect.
With honor and respect.